T.
Amanda. Jessica.
Marisha.
Hey now.
What's up, girl?
Hey.
What?
Let's go.
Hey.
Hey.
What you know about this?
Oh, hey.
What you need, girl?
I need some justice.
And we're here to let you know that we got this.
Hey everyone, this is Atiana.
Hey, this is Amanda.
And I'm Jessica, and today we're going to be discussing prisoner rights, mostly concentrating on rights to votes and their rights to rehabilitation.
We believe prisoners should be given the same rights as free citizens, in which they are given the right to vote. Don't you?
I do, because this will benefit the ones who return to society, and it'll help them better survive and not end up back in prison.
Fun fact time!
Out of all the countries, the United States has the most number of prisoners combined.
85% of individuals who come in contact with the juvenile system are functionally illiterate.
76% of released jail inmates end up going back to jail within 5 years.
While crime rates are decreasing, the amount of prisoners are increasing.
And the majority of states' funds goes back to prisons.
Wow.
And that's the truth.
Facts, guys. These are facts.
So we're doing this podcast because we believe every human being deserves to be treated like one. We hope to learn both sides of why and why not a prisoner should have the right to vote and the right to rehabilitate in order to rejoin society as a better changed person. People can change if you give them an opportunity to.
And I agree with that, because if we give prisoners an opportunity, they won't have to go back to jail and do the time. That's supposed to be the purpose of jail. It's like a long time out for them to think about what they did and for them to learn their lesson. Just like children, they need discipline to know what they did wrong and to learn from it so that they don't do it again or continue to do things that got them in that situation.
But why should we give them that opportunity? It's up to them to decide whether or not to change. Also, it costs more money to give every prisoner an education. Inmates' education programs per year cost $1,500 to $1,700 per year. Why should they be given the privilege if they have already done the crime that they knew had consequences to it?
Okay, guys, let this sink in for a few minutes and think about both sides.
2 questions. Do you think prisoners should have the rights? Should they be allowed to? Now, keep those questions in mind and just think on them. Hold them in your head and just reminisce while we continue.
Okay, everyone, we will be getting into the interview portion of our podcast. Get prepared for this special guest.
Oh, she real special, all right.
Girl, what you say about me?
Oh, here we go again.
Oh, hey, Roisha. You know I'm just teasing.
Oh, you better be. I will cut you. I already got 2 strikes, and you don't want to be my 3rd.
Ooh. Girl, I've known you for some years now. Quit playing with
Ladies, let's calm down now and get into this interview.
Okay, she's right. Let's get down to business.
I know. I love y'all. It's a family thing up in here. Okay, cousin.
All right, guys, let's get to the questions.
So the first question is, does society suppress those coming back from prisons due to the lack of resources they're given after they are released?
What's that mean?
Well, for example, it's hard to get a job because of the record.
Oh, okay. Well, I had went back to selling on the streets just to get some type of money in my pockets to feed my children. I got 3 children. I got Jackson, he's the oldest, he's like 5. I got Trayvonte, he's about 2. And I got my little Malia, she's only about 1. So I gotta pay for everything they got because my baby daddies ain't shit. So I gotta provide so they don't end up how I did in the slammer and everything like that. I can't get none of these benefits because ain't nobody wanna let me. That's how I ended up back in jail for the 2nd time, because I was selling on the streets and trying to make this money so I could get right for my kids.
Roisha, did you know that more than half of prisoners end up back in jail after they're released?
Former prisoners are not given the resources to get their life better. For example, jobs are going to reject all types of criminal records.
Ooh, girl, y'all ain't lying. I had known a bunch of them people that done struggled and went back to jail because crime is all they know. Because ain't nobody want to help them and guide them, and that they mommies and daddies is supposed to teach them, but they didn't teach them nothing because they doing what they mommies and daddies do. They just copying everybody, doing whatever everybody is doing. And that's not okay because no one is learning their lesson, and the cycle just keeps going on.
Should a prisoner be treated less than human because they have committed a crime? Who decides how much a person should be treated as a human being?
Well, in my opinion, ain't nobody should be treated less than a human. That's bringing it back to slavery because they were treated less than everybody else, and it was not fair. And I'm not just talking about blacks and whites. I'm talking about all races, Latin, Asian, black, just all the minorities. I know that everybody has been through the struggle, but come on now, you can't treat somebody like an animal or like they're not a human being. Everybody got feelings. At least that's the way they're supposed to be raised. I don't know what y'all moms and dads have been teaching y'all, but that's the main issue that a lot of people have growing up, and it's just not okay.
So do you think that the prison system is like modern day slavery? If so, should all their basic rights be taken from them?
Can you elaborate on that one, please? Well, their First Amendment is being taken away because you don't have freedom of speech. You're not allowed to contact family, and it's really hard for you to contact family or call them. It gets expensive because, you don't really have money in there. At least that's what outsiders think. So what is your personal opinion since you've been inside and you kind of know the ins and outs? Well, you know me. I'll say whatever I say when I want to say it. Ain't nobody gonna stop me from saying it because that's just me. A lot of people is like that, but not many. And I feel like everybody has a voice that they should use, and that's just how it's supposed to be. Everybody needs to speak up for themselves because ain't nobody else gonna do it for them. This is supposed to be America. What the hell is y'all doing out here making this country look bad? Who y'all think y'all is? You can't be taking away people's freedom of speech because, one, that's on the amendments, and two, nobody can control what you say because it's what you say. They can't go inside you and make you stop talking because nobody can do that. That is impossible. When I was in jail, they had told me to be quiet and shut up and not to do this and that, and I was getting upset because it was not okay. I'm not told to be quiet and all this. Yeah, I know I did something wrong, but damn, you don't have to do all that. It makes them feel less. Like they should be putting us up and telling us that it's not okay to say certain things. So they be yelling at me like it's the thing to do. And when I want to talk to my children on the phone, I can't even make enough because the little jobs that we got and the little activities that we do is just not paying me enough to be able to even call my children and see how they doing and seeing if they okay, if they eating. I can't even know if they got somebody that's taking care of them, feeding them, putting clothes on them, sending them to school, making sure that they're not doing what I was doing out in the streets. I'm trying to make sure they're good so when I get out, I can have something to look forward to. So I can't even make enough to save up for when I get out. I can't make enough to call them. That just ain't right. That's not right for not just me, but everybody else that's up in there. They need to be able to contact their families, their lawyers. They need to make sure that they straight and they're on the right path to their lives, because everybody deserves a second chance.
She brings up an important point. Prisoners work for a minimum wage for the basic needs. They get paid cents an hour, which is not enough.
Girl, you right.
So were you aware of the fact that most inmates that are being put in jail are minority?
And prisoners aren't allowed to vote. And if you put 2 and 2 together, that's basically trying to take away the minority voice. What do you think about that, Roisha?
Well, you see here, as a minority and a person that comes from a minority family and culture and area, I feel like we should have a voice. And even if you're in jail, you should still have that voice because you are a citizen. Everyone that's in jail is a citizen and they have a right to vote since they are from America, the great country of freedom. So where the hell is the freedom at? Let me know, America. Let me know. Put me on to something.
America, she is calling you out.
She ain't lying. She ain't lying. Come on, America. I need y'all to get it together right now.
America, call this a realization.
Y'all need to. For real. Get with the program here, America. Okay, everybody. We want to just bring up some evidence points just to kind of throw these facts out there just so everybody knows. So from a source, it reads, if taxes were necessary, then the Americans wanted their own assemblies to impose them. Further, the colonists wanted parliamentary recognition of this perceived right. Essentially, no taxation without representation really meant no taxation by Parliament, no representation in Parliament. Let us run our own affairs. So this quote is related to the prison system because without the right to vote, prisoners cannot vote on laws that refer back to them. Basically what Great Britain did to the United States.
Another source reads, prisoners too should be allowed to vote, no matter their crimes. While only Vermont and Maine grant prisoners the vote, felon disenfranchisement fundamentally undermines the democratic rationale of our criminal laws. We cannot hold citizens to account for violating our laws while denying them a say over those laws. So basically, prisoners are more likely to be aware of the dangers of such issues and how much they cost society if they're allowed to vote. So without that right to vote, they don't have a say in what's happening in their own life or how that vote goes back to them. Basically, random citizens that haven't been through jail or don't know the realities of jail are voting on these laws, and when really the prisoners should be voting on them because it relates back to them. Yeah, you wouldn't want a stranger voting on any laws that would relate back to you if they don't really know what you've been through.
Regarding the counter argument, another source says people might argue that allowing them to vote can be expensive and unrealistic because it is unjustifiable since they are not in prison because the system wants to cut costs. Similarly, the fact that prisoners lose many freedoms do not imply they should lose all of their civil rights. This explains how if prisoners are allowed to vote, it will be extra money to have for the spending of the justice system, while the system wants to cut costs at the same time. They should not be allowed to vote because people should understand their consequences. Decisions in their life, this could affect their method of voting.
So adding on to that, if these people are given the right to vote, maybe this can help them, rehabilitate and be given the opportunity to change and to be more involved with politics and learn more about what they can give back to society and benefit with their vote. And, their experiences can potentially actually give them like a fresh
outlook on how they should intake life's choices and the consequences that come with that.
Instead of just the outlook of a regular everyday citizen who doesn't go through all of the things that they go through. Everyone goes through different struggles, and it could affect their opinions. All right, so we're ending the interview portion of our...
It was nice talking to y'all.
Thank you for agreeing to be in our interview. Oh my God, let me get myself together. Woo! Sorry about that, guys. So thank you for agreeing to do this interview, Roisha. We enjoyed having you
girl.
here.
You welcome. You welcome, y'all. You welcome to the people that are listening to this.
Do you have any last words to say to the class that we're going to be presenting this podcast to?
Yes, y'all need to stay in school and keep with it, because if y'all want to end up like me, okay, be my guest, but you ain't ended up nowhere good. So just stay in school, stay focused, get money, not in the bad ways. Get a job, stay educated, you know. Just try to do you. Don't let anybody tell you different. And if you got children, educate your children. If you got nieces, nephews, anybody younger than you, you better tell them to get their lives together. That's all I gotta say.
All right, bye, girl. See you soon.
Bye, girl. Give me hugs. Okay, cousin. Bye, girl. Bye. Thank you. I'll see y'all later.
Bye, girl.
Bye.
So bringing it back, we're just gonna say some last few points.
We're just gonna tie in all of our main ideas together, everything that basically we discussed, and our final thoughts, and we're just gonna leave it at that.
Well, I believe prisoner rights are being violated because when they are kept away from contacting their family members, they are kept away from having freedom of speech. So even though these prisoners are said to have these rights, they really don't.
And these policies harm not only prisoners, but also their families, friends, and the public. The Supreme Court has made it clear that the First Amendment protects not only the rights of prisoners to send and receive mail, but also the rights of free people to communicate with prisoners.
Also, communication between prisoners and the outside world permits the prisoners to preserve ties with their families, friends, loved ones, while also allowing the public a means of oversight over conditions inside these closed facilities, which can cause problems in emotional and mental dysfunctions and issues for the prisoners. Thank you for
That's a great way to
listening
end it.
into our podcast, and I hope you enjoyed it.
We'll see you next time when we're serving justice.
Yes.
All right.
Auntie.
Amanda. Jessica. Follow us on Instagram at the Sister Wives. Let's go!
Hey, hey, hey. Now you know about this.
Oh, hey.
What you need, girl?
I need to go now.
We finished and we done, so what's up now?